What's up everyone, we're going to be going through the best NBA player props on Prizepicks today. Now I did want to show you the results from yesterday's picks from my exclusive Discord group, and as you guys see, we actually got 21 picks correct, which was absolutely insane. Now a lot of you comment wanting to see how many I got wrong, and I thought I'd show you in today's video. We actually got 0 picks wrong and got 21 right, which is a 100% win rate. Yes, you heard that right guys, 100% win rate. We went perfect. So we are on a huge hot streak, but if you want to get a 100% win rate and get 21 picks right like me, win more bets, or receive the best picks from some of the best bettors in the world for less than a cup of coffee, you can access the exclusive Discord and meet some of the best sport bettors in the game by joining my Patreon, should be linked down below in the description. Once you join, you'll have complete access to the Discord and can start winning more bets today. So make sure to join my Patreon using the link in the description. And here's one of our members who just signed up and won himself $2,000 just yesterday. Another member who won $1,000 for the 6th day in a row since joining my Discord. So guys, if you want to win big money like our members, the link will be in the description, so go join the Patreon to have access to the Discord group, and I will be continuing to upload every single day on this channel the best bets and props, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss my daily uploads. So just want to give a quick shout out to Daryl Sevier, who said these unders have been cashing, keep them coming. Shouts out to Deval DM, who also gave us a thumbs up emoji. Also shouts out to DYF Bets, who gave us some tick emojis because we cashed, and shouts out to YRN Manny, who said you cashed me out yesterday, I appreciate it. So shouts out to them, and if you do want to be in a running to win a shout out in the next video, all you have to do is comment down below in this video and like this video, and you can be in the running to win a shout out in the next one. Alright, so let's get straight into the first pick. When it comes to these picks, I'm not saying to chuck all of them into a parlay and hope for the best. Pick and choose the ones that you like and the ones that work best for you. So the first pick we're talking about is none other than Isaiah Joe, and this one is for 10.5 points, and this one actually is for less. Now, when we look at Isaiah Joe and we look at his points over the last games, we actually do see he's gone on the under in 0 out of the last 5 games. So when you look at this, they do, or has faced off against on March 13 against Boston, where he had 11 points. Then moving on from that, on March 16th, they faced off against Detroit, where he was able to get 11 points there. Faced off against Milwaukee Bucks after that, got 19 points. Then faced off against Philadelphia 76ers, having 21 points. And then faced off against Charlotte Hornets, who had 14 points. Now, when it comes to Isaiah Joe, yes, he hasn't gone on the under that many times, but there is a big reason why we do very much like the under for this situation here. The first reason being is that they do face off against the LA Clippers. Now, when you look at the LA Clippers, you actually do see that LA Clippers do rank 5th when it comes to points allowed. So they rank very high. And on top of that, they also rank very high when it comes to restricting points to the guard position. And that is a telltale sign to us on why we do very much like the under for this situation here. We definitely see someone like Isaiah Joe going on the under due to those reasons, since LA Clippers are a great defensive team there. Now, when you look at the LA Clippers and also Thunder, we see a very, simple story here, because the Thunder are currently ranked 1st in the Western Conference with a record of 58-12. And they have also clinched a playoff spot. So they have clinched a playoff spot, which I think is fantastic, and because of that, we could see bigger players like Isaiah Joe may not get the same amount of usage rate as he usually does see out there. On the other hand, LA Clippers are currently ranked 7th in the Western Conference with a record of 40-30, and they are continuing to push forward and try to solidify a spot in the playoffs. So they are still in a good position right now, but they have to continue to win these last couple of games, especially as the regular season is coming to an end. And for that reason, we definitely want to keep an eye out for LA Clippers defensiveness or defensive effectiveness, due to the fact that they are expected to play very hard. Now, when you look at Isaiah Joe, like I mentioned, he isn't the highest usage rate player. Yes, he has gone on the over on his line multiple times, and his average over the last 5 is 15.2. But like we always mention, matchups. That's what's most important. And with a matchup like this, especially with LA Clippers doing such a fantastic job at restricting points to the guard position, we definitely see him going on the under in this one. Now, when we also look at the LA Clippers, as we all know, the LA Clippers are a decently paced team. Now, Clippers are a little bit more slower, however, compared to OKC. And what we have seen time and time again is that LA Clippers do a fantastic job at actually slowing down the pace of, teams. So, because of that, we definitely see that happening in this game. OKC and specifically Isaiah Joe may not get the same amount of usage rate, same amount of volume out there. And for that reason, we do very much like the under for this situation here. So definitely keep an eye out for the under for this situation, especially for Isaiah Joe. Now we look at Isaiah Joe over the last couple of games he has faced off against Clippers this season. We see that he has scored 12 points in their matchup on the 2nd, 11th. When they played on the 11th, he had himself 12 points there. And in a most recent game, he only had 9 points, which happened on the 2nd of January. So when you actually look further and dive deeper, you do see that, yes, the line is at 10.5. Now, the most recent game, he did go on the under, and the other two, he did go on the over. But mathematically speaking, and what we see when it comes to not just stats in general, but also the defensive effectiveness of LA Clippers lately, also the position that OKC are in, which is less usage rate from their main players, we could and are expecting Isaiah Joe more likely to go on the under in this situation here. So definitely keep an eye out for Isaiah Joe. So Isaiah Joe, 10.5 points for less, I think is a fantastic pick. Now, getting into the next one, we're going to be talking about none other than Jrue Holiday. So Jrue Holiday, as we all know, fantastic player for none other than the Boston Celtics. And this one is a fantastic one for 11.5 points. And this one actually is for less. Now, when we look at Jrue Holiday, we've actually seen him go on the under in 3 out of the last 5 games. Now, when you look at these games, you see that they faced off against Oklahoma City Thunder, and he only had 9 points on March 13th. And then on March 15th, had 25 points. Brooklyn Nets faced off against them and on the 16th, and he had 11 points. Then off a back-to-back, faced off against them again, and he had 12 points. And then Utah Jazz on March 22nd, and he only had 8 points. So he's going on the under more than he's going on the over, and that is a telltale sign to us on why we do like the under for this situation here. Now, his average over the last 5 is 13, so just slightly above this line. But when we look at their next matchup, we do see that they face off against the Portland Trail Blazers. Now, when we look at the Portland Trail Blazers, we do see that they do rank 17th when it comes to points allowed. Now, a big reason why we do very much like the under for this situation, however, is when it comes to Jrue Holiday's position, we actually do see Portland do a fantastic job at actually restricting, points from his position. Now, we tend to see Jrue Holiday play that point guard position rather than shooting guard. And when we look specifically, point guards is where, Portland Trail Blazers do shine when it comes to on the defensive side of things. On top of that, a telltale reason for us as well is that when it comes to Jrue Holiday, he doesn't have the highest usage rate in the points department, especially for this Boston Celtics team. We have seen him go on the under consistently, and when you also look at his some of his recent games when he faced off against Miami, he did get 25 points. So yes, he did have himself a great game there. However, we think that game is a little bit more of an outlier type game, and an outlier type game, it's brought this line a little bit too high that now there's a lot more value actually to go on the under. Now, when you also look at this matchup between both of these teams, Boston and Portland, we do see that they are both in 2 very different positions. Boston Celtics currently ranked 2nd in the Eastern Conference with a record of 51-19. So they have a great record and have also clinched a playoff spot. Now, when you look at Portland Trail Blazers, on the other hand, you see a little bit of a different story. Portland Trail Blazers aren't really ranked too well. They currently rank 12th in the Western Conference with a record of 32-39. So they haven't been doing too well. And on top of that, their playoff spot potential is definitely a little bit down in the water. I doubt or highly doubt they are going to continue to try to win games. I think, and it is definitely very evident that they have moved more towards tanking in order to get a higher draft pick, in the upcoming draft. So for that reason, we definitely see those things playing a huge part of it. And for that, we do very much think that Portland may not bring out all their superstars or all their great players, as soon as they can. So for that reason, we do very much like, the under for this situation here. We could see Portland pull out the game early, and because of that, it could lead to Boston also taking off their stars early as well. So with all those things being said, we definitely see that being a bit of a issue when it comes to Boston. playing their starters. They probably won't play them if Portland end up pulling the game. Now, also looking at Jrue Holiday, we actually have seen that Jrue Holiday has faced off against the Trailblazers, but this was back in 2023-2024 season. However, in that game, he did have 12 points. Now, he did slightly go above his line, but like I said, with this one, this was last season, so there really isn't too much you can take from this. This is a little bit more of taking it with a grain of salt in that case, but I thought I'd still show it. Any information is good information in this sense, and I think it's always good to see that. So you definitely have seen that Portland have been remaining consistent throughout the seasons to do a great job against the point guards, and Jrue Holiday seems to definitely struggle against that a little bit. But although he did go on the over, he only made it over by 0.5, so not really convincing enough to us. So we definitely could see him go on the under in this situation. So when you look at what the bookies are saying, bookies also have him favored for the under as well, so that works out in our favor there. So all signs point towards the under. So Jrue Holiday, 11.5 points for less, I think is a fantastic pick. Now getting to the next one, we're going to be talking about Donovan Mitchell. So when we look at Donovan Mitchell, we actually have this great pick, and this one is for Donovan Mitchell for points for 24.5, and this one actually is for less. Now, when we look at Donovan Mitchell, we've actually seen him go on the under in 4 out of the last 5 games. So this one is a very interesting one. When you look at Donovan Mitchell, we see that on March 10th, faced off against Milwaukee Bucks, only had 15 points there. Then on March 17th, faced off against Orlando Magic, where he had 23 points. Then faced off against the Los Angeles Clippers, where he had 18 points. Then Sacramento Kings, 26 points. And then the Phoenix Suns had 7 points there. So when it comes to Donovan Mitchell, we actually have seen him, be a little bit more on the under as of recent. And now they do have themselves a very interesting matchup against none other than the Utah Jazz. Now, as you all know, Utah Jazz are going to be a very interesting game due to the fact that when we look at both of these teams, well, starting off with Cleveland, we do see Cleveland rank first in the Eastern Conference with a record of 56-14. So they have a great record, but on top of that, they have also clinched a playoff spot. And I think that is a tall tale sign on why we do like the under for this one. But before we actually talk about that, I do want to mention Utah Jazz as well. Utah Jazz are on the other side of the totem pole, where they currently rank 15th in the Western Conference with a record of 16-55, and they are, last in that Western Conference. So it is definitely a little bit of a struggle for this team. Now, when we actually look at Donovan Mitchell, the reason why we do very much like the under for this situation here is due to the fact that when you look at actually Donovan Mitchell's usage rate, we have seen it fall quite a bit. But the reason being, and the reason why this is the case, is due to the fact that when it actually comes to Donovan Mitchell and also Cleveland have been resting Donovan Mitchell as much as they can. And a reason for this is that they are preparing for the actual NBA playoffs. So the fact that Cleveland have already clinched a playoff spot, we are expecting them to continue to do this where, the Cleveland will probably rest their starters, especially someone like Donovan Mitchell, who is a great player and a main player for this Cleveland team. So that's why his usage rate has fallen and why we will see it continue to fall, especially against this Utah Jazz team. Now, Utah Jazz do rank 28th when it comes to points allowed. So yes, they rank a little bit low. Now, they rank pretty decent and a little bit on the higher side when it comes to restricting points to the guard position. But a big reason for us on why we do like the under is, mentioning that, which is that Donovan Mitchell's, Cleveland Cavaliers, they have already clinched a playoff spot, and we aren't expecting him to get that many minutes out there and that much of a high usage rate. And that's why we have seen over the last 5 games, he's definitely been more likely on the under, and his average over the last 5 being 17.8, so significantly below this line. Now, when we look at Donovan Mitchell as well against, the team like Utah Jazz, we actually saw them verse each other on the 23rd of December, and we saw a very similar thing, because, Donovan Mitchell actually only had 22 points in that game. So he would have went under on this line as well. Like I mentioned, Utah Jazz do a great job, especially against Donovan Mitchell's position. But I think on top of that, what really helps us solidify why we do like the under for this is due to the fact that we could see a decrease in his usage rate, and it has what we have been seeing over the last 5 games. So for that reason, we are sticking to the under for this one. When you look at what the bookies are saying, bookies also have been favored for the under as well. And when it comes to Cleveland and Utah, both are decently paced teams, yes. However, when you look at Cleveland, they do a great job at actually slowing down teams. So we are expecting Utah to actually come down to their pace. So for that reason, Donovan Mitchell, 24.5 points for less, I think is a fantastic pick. So as you all know, I do want to get these picks out to you as soon as possible, but Prizepicks is delayed with some of their lines. So here are a couple of players you should definitely watch out for when their lines drop. So the first player we're going to be talking about is none other than Detroit Pistons player, and that is Cade Cunningham. Now, as we all know, Cade Cunningham has taken this Detroit Pistons team to the promised land because they are currently doing pretty well, especially compared to last season. Now, when we actually look at the Detroit Pistons and also Cade Cunningham, starting off with Cade, we see so far this season he's been averaging 25.7 points, which actually ranks him 10th, which is great to see there. 6.1 rebounds, which ranks him 50th. 9.2 assists, which ranks him 3rd, and then averaging 46.2% from the field, which averages has him ranking at 73rd. So he's done a fantastic job for this Detroit Pistons team. And when it comes to the Detroit Pistons, they do have themselves a very interesting matchup against the New Orleans Pelicans. Now, when we look at both of these teams, we definitely see a very interesting sight. First, starting off with Detroit Pistons, we see that the Pistons have done very, very well so far this season, especially compared to last season, but they are currently ranked 6th in the Eastern Conference with a record of 39-32. So, very impressive there, and they are currently in a playoff position, which I think is great. And on top of that, yes, they haven't clinched a playoff spot just yet, but they are continuing to make a push and make a big push at that. Now, coming to the other side of the Western Conference, we see that the New Orleans Pelicans on the other side have a record of 19-52, and they actually rank 14th in the Western Conference as well. So, hasn't really been a good time for the Pelicans, but when it comes to the Pelicans, they are in that position where playoff picture is definitely out of their sights. So, they probably are looking to tank in order to get a high draft pick coming into this matchup and also throughout the rest of the season. But talking about this matchup, Pelicans and Pistons, we are expecting a great game. But when we look at the actual matchup, we see that the Pelicans do rank 26th when it comes to points allowed, 27th when it comes to assists allowed as well, and then rebounds allowed. They also rank pretty similar as they rank 28th. Now, for that reason, we do very much like the over for this situation for someone like Cade Cunningham. A big reason being is that Pelicans do rank very low in all three categories, but on top of that, the Pelicans also do rank very low in all three categories when it also comes to the point guard position. So when we look on a point guard position basis, we do actually see that, Cade Cunningham not only runs at point guard position, but he does have a very good usage rate in all three departments. Now, for that reason, we do very much like the over for this situation here. We think that this matchup is going to have quite a good amount of pace from this game, which should definitely help Cade in being able to go on the over on this one. Now, not only are Pelicans a poor defensive team, but like we mentioned before, the Pelicans are looking to tank. So if they are looking to tank, we definitely see that being a huge sign for us due to the fact that what we are expecting coming into this matchup is that we could actually see Pelicans maybe not play their starters, maybe not play the way they are usually playing, and we should actually see worse defense as they are purposely trying to lose this game. So we definitely see those things being taken into consideration and why it will be such a big thing for this game. But when we also look at Cade Cunningham over the last 5 games, we also see how he's been absolutely balling out. He's coming off a game where he had 35 points, 6 assists, 7 rebounds. Also another matchup where he just had 25 points, 11 assists, and 12 rebounds. And another game against Washington where he had 38 points, 10 assists, and 3 rebounds as well. So Cade Cunningham's usage rate out there definitely remains very, very high. And he definitely plays at a very high level, especially coming into this matchup against Pelicans, where Detroit need the win. Pelicans on the other side are probably going to try to tank, so they are probably expected to play poor defense. And for that reason, we see both of those things taken into consideration and why we do like the over for this one. So keep an eye out for Cade Cunningham's line. I definitely see a lot of value there to go on the over. But like I mentioned, keep an eye out for the line first. If it is under his averages, definitely look to go on the over. Now, getting into the next player, we're going to be talking about Darius Garland. So as we all know, Darius Garland, great player for none other than the Cleveland Cavaliers. And he's been playing fantastic because he's been averaging 20.9 points, 2.7 rebounds, 6.7 assists, and also 47.6% from the field. Now, looking at some of the stats as well, he ranks 33rd in points, 12th in assists, and also 56th in field goal percentage. So great there. But when it comes to the Cleveland Cavaliers, they do have themselves a very interesting matchup against the Utah Jazz. So it is going to be a very exciting game. Now, when we look at someone like, the Utah Jazz and Cavaliers matchup, starting off with Utah Jazz do rank 15th when it actually comes to their ranking in the Western Conference with a record of 16-55 as well. So they haven't really been doing too well so far this season, and they are probably going to continue to try to tank coming into this game. And on the other side of things, we see the Cavaliers, who do rank first in the Eastern Conference with a record of 56-14. And also have clinched a playoff spot as well. So we all know how great Cleveland has been playing and have been absolutely dominating the Eastern Conference as well. So it is definitely going to be an exciting game between both of these teams. Now, looking at Utah Jazz, we see that the Utah Jazz do actually rank 28th when it comes to points allowed. They also rank 28th when it comes to assists allowed. And on top of that, rebounds allowed, we also do see that Utah Jazz rank a little bit better as a rank 11th. Now, when it comes to someone like Darius Garland, we do actually like the over for this situation due to the fact that when it comes to Utah Jazz, they rank pretty poor in the categories where Darius Garland has a high usage rate. Now, Jazz do rank higher in rebounds, but I definitely would probably avoid rebounds anyway. I would focus a lot more on points and assists, especially for someone like Darius Garland, who does have a higher usage rate in both of those departments. Now, this is going to probably be an easier matchup, and also with the Cleveland Cavaliers, we are expecting them to actually rest other players like Donovan Mitchell, like Jarrett Allen, Evan Mobley, all these types of players more close to the playoffs. We have seen Darius Garland, even though they have clinched a playoff spot, we've seen Darius Garland's usage rate actually remain pretty high, and I think that is because Cleveland are actually resting other players and letting Darius Garland kind of take, the carry for this team while they are resting. So, Darius Garland has remained very consistent usage rate wise, and we think that will definitely continue on into this next matchup, no doubt about it. Now, when we look at someone like Darius Garland and the matchup that he does face off against Jazz, we do know as well Jazz is a very fast-paced team. Cavaliers are a little bit slower, but Jazz have done a fantastic job at actually speeding up slower-paced teams this whole season, and we definitely see that being the case here. So we could see Garland get a little bit more, usage rate out there in the points department and assist department due to the fact that Jazz tend to push the pace on both sides of the floor. So we definitely see those two things taken into consideration, and is a big reason why we do very much like the over for this situation here. So definitely keep an eye out for that. Now, getting into the next one as well, I do also want to mention that Garland over the last 5 games, looking at his usage rate there, he's coming off a game against Phoenix where he had 18 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds. Another matchup where he had 30 points, 8 assists, 4 rebounds. Another matchup where he faced off against the Clippers, and he also had 17 points, 8 assists, 5 rebounds. So, his usage rate does remain high, like I mentioned, but points and assists is definitely where I would focus on for someone like Darius Garland coming into this game. Now, getting into the next player, we're going to be talking about Dyson Daniels. So, Dyson Daniels from Australia, Atlanta Hawks, he's been playing great for them. And when we look at Dyson Daniels' actual stats so far this season, he's been averaging 14.1 points, which actually ranks him 77th, which is great. 5.6 rebounds, ranking him 63rd. 4.3 assists, ranking him 57th. And also shooting 48.5% from the field, ranking him 49th. So he's done a fantastic job for this Atlanta Hawks team, and he's been able to do very well, especially, with his bigger role in this Atlanta team compared to his previous team there. Now, when it actually comes to the actual Atlanta Hawks, the Hawks have themselves a great matchup against the Philadelphia 76ers. So it is going to be a very exciting matchup there. Now, both of these teams are in the Eastern Conference, but they are definitely in 2 different positions. Starting off with Atlanta Hawks, we see that Atlanta Hawks currently have a record of 34-36. and also do rank 7th in the Eastern Conference. So they rank 7th, which is really great. They are currently in a playoff position, which I think is fantastic, and they are continuing to try to make a push and see how far or how high up they can get in the rankings. But they are currently in a playoff position, while on the other side you have the 76ers, who are in a very, very different position. 76ers do rank 12th in the Eastern Conference with a record of 23-47, and their possibilities of making the playoffs or even the play-ins do seem a little bit unlikely, as you know, the team that is currently coming 10th, they are actually 6 games behind. So, you know, anything is possible, do not get me wrong, but it does seem that the 76ers have kind of accepted their fate due to the injuries that they have faced, and they are probably looking to tank and try to tank as much as they can in order to get a higher draft pick coming into this next draft. Now, when we look at 76ers as well, especially when it comes to the defense that we are expecting from them, we do see that 76ers do actually rank 16th when it comes to points allowed, which is interesting to see. Those rank 24th when it comes to assists allowed, and then rebounds allowed, they also do rank 22nd. So Atlanta Hawks do rank very poor or mid-tier in all 3 categories, and we definitely see that being a big thing coming into this matchup for someone like Dyson Daniels. Now, Dyson Daniels has a really good usage rate in all 3 departments. He may not have the highest, but he definitely has a decent usage rate, which I think is very important there. On top of that, he is a guard, and 76ers do very much struggle against the guard position, so we definitely see Dyson Daniels being able to take advantage of that. Now, there isn't really one to focus on. I think points, rebounds, and assists, either one definitely has a lot of value there, and that can definitely be seen, you know, in that due to the fact that he has a decent usage rate, he has a capability to go on the over in any of these 3 departments. Now, when we look at Atlanta Hawks' Dyson Daniels, we also see a very interesting story. As we look at the last 5 games, we've seen some pretty notable games. He's coming off a game where he had 12 points, 6 assists, 11 rebounds against the Golden State Warriors. Another matchup against Charlotte where he had 22 points, 7 assists, and also 7 rebounds, which is great to see. And then another performance where he had 14 points, 7 assists, 6 rebounds as well. So, you know, Dyson Daniels does put points, rebounds, and assists on the board. And also the dynamic of these 2 teams. Obviously, 76ers are looking to tank, so we could see a very different defensive matchup and defensive strategies from this 76ers team, because they are probably looking to lose on purpose in order to get a high draft pick. So for that reason, we should even expect an easier game for someone like Dyson, and Dyson may be able to take advantage of this and go over on his lights. Now, getting into the next player, we're going to be talking about Boston Celtics' Derrick White. So we all know who Derrick White is, has been playing absolutely fantastic for the Boston Celtics, and he's been averaging so far this season 16.6 points, 4.4 rebounds, 4.4 assists, while also shooting 44.1% from the field. Now, he does rank 59th in points, 102nd in rebounds, 52nd in assists, so he has done a great job and ranking 97th in field goal percentage. So Derrick White has definitely been playing great, and they do have themselves a very good matchup against none other than the Portland Trail Blazers. Now, it is definitely going to be an interesting game between these 2 teams. Now, when we look at the Boston Celtics and Portland Trail Blazers ranking, we do see, starting off with Boston, we see that they rank 2nd in the Eastern Conference with a record of 51-19. So Celtics have been playing absolutely fantastic, and as we get closer and closer to the end of the actual season, we definitely could still see this continue with Celtics playing very well. And on the other side of things, we also definitely see the Trailblazers ranking very differently, as the Trailblazers do rank 12th in the Western Conference and also have a record of only 32-39. So for that reason, we do very much like this matchup in a favor of Boston Celtics. But looking at Boston Celtics actual stats, and also Portland Trailblazer stats, we see that Portland do rank 17th when it comes to points allowed, 13th when it comes to assists allowed, and then rebounds allowed. We also do see that the Trailblazers rank 16th. So it is definitely going to be an interesting one there. When we look at both of these teams as well, what we are also expecting is that since Portland do rank very low in all 3 categories, we expect Derrick White to be able to go on the over in this situation pretty well. Now, when you look at also Boston, they are expected to be missing a couple of players. Jaylen Brown is expected to be out. Jason Tatum is game time decision. Same with Kristaps Porzingis and others. So there are a lot of players that are actually, in that position where they actually might be, kind of not playing or definitely playing only on restricted minutes. And this is due to the reason that these star players, Boston's staff, head coach, are looking to rest them as much as they can in order to prepare them for the playoffs that is around the corner. So for that reason, we definitely see that playing a huge effect coming into this matchup. Derrick White, we think is definitely going to take a hard, usage rate kind of increase due to the fact that with some of their star players being missing, Derrick White is going to be that guy that needs to step up if they want to continue to get these wins. On the other side of things, though, it does give them an easier matchup as Portland are in not really a position to actually make the NBA playoffs, in a sense that, yes, they may be somewhat close, but it does look like that they are probably looking to tank and to tank at will in order to get them actually a higher draft pick. So we definitely see those things being taken into consideration coming into this game. Now, looking at Derrick White, you definitely seen him put on such great performances over the last 5. He's coming off a game against Brooklyn where he had 18 points, 4 assists, 5 rebounds. Another matchup against Oklahoma City Thunder where he had 22 points, 5 assists, 8 rebounds. So he definitely plays at a high level and continues to play at a high level, and we should see that coming into this matchup against the Portland Trailblazers, no doubt about it.